Well, hi, and thanks for stopping by the Pellets and Pistons Airgun channel. Today is part 2 in a 2-part series where we're doing a home tune on a Beeman Webley Eclipse. Now, in the first part, we disassembled the gun and we talked about what might need to be done in order to correct the buzz. And the idea was to make a top hat for the rifle. However, after looking at the spring and how much room there is for a top hat, it began to become clear to me that with the extremely long spring guide that's in this rifle, the top hat will probably interfere with cocking the rifle. So I wasn't sure what to do. I talked it over with a friend and he suggested a spring, not a spring, but a piston sleeve, which for whatever reason hadn't occurred to me, although I've done a few of those in the past. So I took his advice and I think it was good advice. So we're going to go ahead and bring this over to the bench. We'll sit down, we'll make that sleeve. I'll show you how to do that. We'll reassemble the gun, and then we'll bring it back out here and we'll give it a test fire. So stick around, this ought to be a good one. And I want to thank you again for stopping by the Pellets and Pistons Airgun channel. We're going to take and we're going to correct what we see right here, which is a lot of noise from the spring against the walls of the piston. And just that little bit of noise is enough to cause a problem with noise. So we're going to go ahead and fix that by making a shim, piston sleeve I should say, out of a 2-liter soda bottle. You can do this at home. It's pretty simple to do. You might need a spring vise to take apart your gun. Look into that before you do it. But it's pretty easy. So the way I look at it, taking this gun down wasn't all that difficult, so putting it back together shouldn't be all that difficult. So if I use a 2-liter bottle and it fails and the gun starts making noise again, I can just take it apart and do it again, or use a different material. A good friend recommended another material, and I'm just too lazy to go out and find some, so I'm going to go ahead and do this with a 2-liter bottle, and I'll see how long it lasts. I did this also in my Fimer Bow sport rifle, and so far it's holding up quite well, and it must have fired a few hundred shots by now. So anyway, without wasting any more time, we'll get into this. What I'm going to try to do, I don't know if you can see on a 2-liter bottle, right near the base of the bottle, there's a line. So I'm going to cut just inside that line and try to keep it nice and straight. And then we're going to come up here to the top and cut just shy of where it begins to curve down towards the neck. So let's begin by getting a hole in this bottle. Okay, so we're going to try to make a nice straight cut. Remove the bottom half of the bottle. And then we'll repeat the process with the top half of the bottle until we have a nice cylinder to work with. Once we have the cylinder, we can cut a straight line across the material so that we can roll up a portion of the material to fit within the piston. Once you've cut it, you want to roll it up very tightly. And do a dry fit with the parts by inserting the new sleeve into the piston and then the spring into the new sleeve to see what kind of fit you have. The idea here is to be snug but not overly tight. Looks like we're a little bit too tight here, but that's okay because we have an overlap with the material, and if we remove that overlap, it should be good to go. So here's where the overlap is. I'll make a mark with the scissors. Then we'll remove the sleeve and finish the cut. This should eliminate the overlap and reduce the friction of the spring within the new sleeve. Another dry fit, and it looks like we got it perfectly this time. Remove the sleeve once again, and we'll form the overlap flaps that we need to install in the forward end of the sleeve. I'm doing this by cutting a series of teeth in the end of the sleeve. And once those teeth are formed, we can fold them over, and they'll provide a lip so that the spring and the spring sleeve, or the piston sleeve, remain in position within the rifle. Once the teeth have been cut, you can go ahead and fold them over towards the center of the cylinder. Then we'll roll it up once again and reinsert the sleeve into the piston. When you reinstall the sleeve, you want to be sure that the seam is on the opposite side of the piston from the cocking slot. This way, the seam won't interfere with the cocking linkage. Looks like a good snug fit now. Now we're mostly finished with the piston sleeve. We just needed to cut it to the proper length. So we'll slide out a little extra material from within the piston. Take the scissors and cut off the excess so that we don't have a lot of overhang sticking out of the rear of the piston. So now the sleeve is complete. We'll push it home with the mainspring, and we'll move on to the next portion of the task. A little moly grease applied to the bearing surfaces of the piston, as well as very sparingly to the edge of the piston seal. You don't want to use very much here. A little bit goes a long way. Alright, once the moly's been applied, the piston is ready to reinsert into the compression tube. You don't want to push it all the way in just yet. You just want to get the cocking slot lined up so that we can reinstall the cocking linkage. There's that little link that we took out. This little secondary sear is oriented in the fashion that you see here within the main tube of the rifle. pair of needle nose pliers works pretty well, but this process will take you several tries if you're anything like me. But be patient and you'll get it. The pin punch will help you line up the hole for the pin. Reinstall the pin from the opposite side. It should go in with finger pressure. If not, a couple of light taps with a mallet should take care of it. And once it's in place, you need to reinstall the clip that holds it into position. Once the clip has been snapped into place, we're ready to move on to the next portion of the job. Some more moly grease on the cocking arm where the pivot point is. You want to grease inside and outside on all the friction areas of this cocking arm. Reinstall the cocking link and then reinstall the arm. As well as the pivot pin that holds the arm into position. On my rifle, this pin is a loose fit. It actually fell out once I took the action from the stock, so it just pushes back in with a little thumb pressure. Keep an eye on it. If yours is like mine, it may fall out again. Now it's time to get really dirty as we apply the spring tar. You'll definitely want some gloves to apply the spring tar, as it's very sticky and it gets all over everything that you touch. A liberal amount, but you don't want it covering the spring completely. There should be just enough to cover the coils and maybe stretch between them as the spring is compressed and relaxed. So now the mainspring assembly is ready to be replaced into the rifle. Keeping the safety at the top of the receiver. Reinsert the spring. You may have to wiggle it around to get it to line up with the piston and the piston sleeve. And then you'll feel it drop in. And then it's off to the spring vise. Now we're going to slowly reinsert the end cap until the hole lines up with the receiver tube so that we can replace the pin. Take your time here. A little patience goes a long way. Bring everything in nice and slow. Keep an eye on that safety so that it doesn't bind up. Try to get everything lined up. This Allen wrench is not the right tool, but I have a tapered punch that might work a little better. So we'll get that hole perfectly centered. Reinsert the pin and gently tap it home. From there we reinstall the stock, and the job is hopefully completed, and hopefully everything will work the way it's supposed to. Let's head off to the shooting bench and see how we did. Okay, so we're back at the bench with the Bean and Webley Eclipse. It's been reassembled and it's ready to get test fired. So without further ado, let's see what we got out of this tune. It was a fun job. It was a learning experience, and there were a couple of little frustrating problems that I ran into, but nothing that we couldn't overcome. So let's see how we did. So here's a taste of what it sounded like before. And here's what it sounds like now. Yeah, what can I say? That sounded wonderful. There's no vibration whatsoever. It's got a very smooth, fast lock time now, and zero zip vibration, absolutely zero. It sounds so nice. It feels so nice to shoot now. So let's try it again, because I can't get enough of that. Now, who knows how long that soda bottle is going to last? But when it dies, I can tear it apart now that I know what I'm doing, and I can replace that soda bottle with another one, or even something a little better as far as materials go, and we'll see how we do. So once again, before and after. Jeepers, that is unbelievable. I mean, that is one of the best success stories I've had to date. That and the Fine Work Bow Sport, that gun came out wonderfully too. But this thing shoots just as nice as that one. If it's accurate, I've got myself one heck of a rifle here, because as far as the shot cycle is concerned, it is unbelievably smooth now. No buzz, no vibration. The recoil is smooth and fast. So one more time. Before and after. That's just incredible. It really is incredible what a difference it makes. A little bit of time, a plastic 2-liter soda bottle, and a liberal amount of spring tar, and we transform this rifle into something absolutely gorgeous. So keep it in mind. I hope you learned something today. I know I did. I always do when I do this kind of work. So we're going to try to ring the bell with this open-sighted rifle that hasn't been zeroed yet. I'll take a couple of tries, and if we don't do it, well, we don't do it. It's not going to be that big a deal. Well, hopefully we can ring the bell as a celebratory move, because we really deserve it today. Nope. What a gun. Holy mackerel, does it shoot nice now. Let's try that again. Darn. The problem is I don't know where to aim, because I don't know where the gun's shooting. So we'll give it one more try. If we don't ring the bell, we don't ring the bell. All right, folks, we got the bell. Fantastic. I want to thank you all for stopping by the Pellets and Pistons Airgun channel. If you haven't subscribed already, please do that. Hit the bell if you want to be reminded of future videos. And by all means, give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed this one. Thanks again, folks. Have a great day.